I'm Dr. Robin Koslowitz, YouTube's post-traumatic parenting expert. Today we're going to be talking about the attachment system. Is it really as fragile as people sometimes make it sound? Do you ever worry if you leave your kid at a daycare, or if you leave your kid with a babysitter, or if they're sad the first day of kindergarten? Am I harming this child's attachment? Am I making this child feel less secure in the world? So many post-traumatic parents have this question, wonder about the attachment system, especially if you've experienced less than perfect attachment, less than good enough attachment. And now, how do I give attachment to my kids if I never really got it? We know that attachment makes us understand the attachment system when we're in adulthood, but I never got that. So how do I understand this? If this is something that you've been thinking about, that you're wondering about, please click subscribe below so you never miss another episode. So let's understand the attachment system and understand how it works and understand really what will disrupt attachment. So first of all, let's set some basic premises. There are 4 S's of attachment. We want a baby, a toddler, a young child to feel safe, seen, soothed, and secure. When we provide those 4 S's, attachment is considered to be good. And when there's good attachment, the child grows up with a sense of security, meaning that they have a secure, if you ever hear when someone talks about a friend and they say, oh my gosh, she's so insecure, that comes from attachment research. The idea being that when you have secure attachment, you expect the world to be a safe, stable, predictable place that I can go back to my parents for comfort, they can help me understand the world, and I also can venture forth and try new things, knowing that if something doesn't go as planned, I can always come back to my secure base, my parents, and they're going to comfort me, reassure me, help me troubleshoot what went wrong, and help me figure out what to do next time. So the child develops an internal working model of themselves and the world, themselves as this competent person who can handle the world, and the world is a basically safe place where some upsetting, distressing, challenging things can happen, but on the whole, I am able to then navigate the world and get comforted by my parents and help when something goes wrong, but then be able to venture forth and try again. And that's a good internal working model of attachment. Let's understand that the attachment system was built as a survival system. It was designed for a species that has a very, very long infancy and toddlerhood, right? Baby lions can defend themselves pretty quickly after birth. Baby humans cannot. So it was designed to keep children and parents in close proximity and to keep children alive. Any system that has to do with survival has an unpleasant component to it, right? Think of a smoke alarm. Think of that ding, ding, ding sound you get until you put on your seatbelt. Think of the smell they added to natural gas so that you would notice if gas is filling up your house. Anything that's for survival is a little bit noxious. So when a child is leaving an attachment figure, a good, strong attachment figure, the child engages in what we call protest behavior. Protest behavior means the child does not want the attachment figure to leave. For a very good reason, because a human baby can't really survive without attachment figures. But the attachment system was built in such a way that children can accept multiple caregivers as attachment figures. So in many families, mom is the primary attachment figure, particularly if mom is nursing. Then there's dad in many traditional families, but in many 2-parent families, there's a primary attachment figure, a secondary attachment figure. In some families, there's grandma, there's aunts and uncles, there's other caregivers, perhaps older siblings, and the baby is primed that our brains are very good at noticing patterns. So someone who interacts with the baby regularly and kindly and gently, that person becomes a supplemental attachment figure. So perhaps mom is attachment figure and grandma is the secondary attachment figure, or big sister is the secondary attachment figure. And the idea is that the baby starts to get used to these other people. Of course, especially as a newborn baby, babies are primed to really feel the most comfort, security, safety with their maternal attachment figure, because that's the body they just came out of. The smells are familiar, the sounds are familiar, the sound of mom's voice is familiar because they heard it when they were in the womb. So that is the most comforting. And then, but babies are malleable and they can have more than one attachment figure, and they can attach to a multiplicity of caregivers. So, and that's the way the attachment system was designed. I'm not, in terms of different types of family configurations, doesn't matter if we're saying mom and dad. Primary attachment figure, secondary attachment figure, could be many, many configurations of families. Now, recently, I've seen a lot of posts on social media where it shows a child distress at drop-off at kindergarten, like the child crying, trying to run after their parent, being sad, and with like captions like, "You're not going to convince me that this doesn't harm attachment," or "Why is this parent doing this? The child is so sad, they feel so abandoned, there goes their attachment." Here's the thing. The attachment system is for survival. Anything that's for survival is not so fragile, right? Our bodies are wired that if one system stops working, another system attempts to take over. I remember working in a neurology lab in grad school, and we were testing kids before major brain surgery. And the idea was, you know what, this entire section of her brain is going to be, impaired by this cancer or whatever the disease was. And other parts of her brain are going to compensate and step in and rewire. And actually, the younger the child is, the better the outcomes, because your brain really adapts at young ages and learns really well. We're wired to learn really well at young ages. The attachment system is not that fragile. Tears at drop-off to kindergarten are very normal. There's a reason that there are so many stories and picture books about kids who are sad on their first day of school. One of my favorite ones is Llama Llama Misses Mama, right? Where Llama Llama's in nursery school for the first time. There's clearly secure attachment there. He clearly loves and values his mom, and he feels safe and soothed and seen and secure in her presence. But it's day one of kindergarten, and he's sad, and there's this lovely zebra teacher who is trying to comfort him, but he's got to get used to it. And by the time the end of the day comes, he's better, he's fine, and he shows mama all the different things he did in kindergarten, and he's learned that he loves mama and school too. Same thing with the Daniel Tiger song, Parents Come Back, right? The idea is, it's a little scary to go to kindergarten the first time, and parents come back. So this does not harm attachment. I think we very often forget that attachment is about two things. If you think about it, it's about that stable, secure base, but the function of the stable, secure base is so that the child can venture forth and human, right? And do humaning and do things in the world and try out new skills and try out kindergarten and try making new friends and try the tricky bars in the playground and try to ride a bike. The goal is not to keep them attached and at your side forever, because the goal of attachment is to mentalize attachment, to take attachment from the concrete, I am here in my house right next to my mommy and all is wonderful in the world, to the mentalized representation. I'm at school now, but mommy's at home or mommy's at work. Mommy's thinking about me and I'm thinking about mommy. And you know what? I'm going to tell her about the cool snails that we saw during science class. And I'm going to tell her that my best friend didn't want to sit next to me at lunch and how that made me feel. And she's going to help me figure out what to do about it. And I'm going to tell her about that weird thing that happened that I'm not sure. It gives me a yucky feeling in my tummy. I'm not sure if that was okay or not. And she's going to help me figure it out. And I'm going to tell her that I didn't really understand the math today, and she's going to help me learn it, and all will be well in my world. The goal of secure attachment is not staying physically, concretely attached at home at the parent's side. The goal is to have that bravery to venture forth, try new things, and learn new capacities. When we're keeping attachment to the idea that we must stay next to mom at all times, like those accounts, which I also feel like those accounts on social media that are like, you're harming attachment with your child, why did you even bother having children, come from a real place of privilege. Not everybody has the luxury of being able to stay home and keep their kids at their side. There are many different kinds of families and many different economic imperatives on families. There are many parents who work and their children have to go to daycare or to kindergarten. And as long as they've done their due diligence, choosing a really kind, caring, attentive daycare teacher, kindergarten teacher, perhaps it's a family member who's watching the kids, and that person is going to provide the 4 S's. That kindergarten teacher knows how to make kids feel safe, soothed, secure, right? Then seen, which is the 4th S, right? Like I get, oh, wow, you figured out the snails. Look at you making a little, whatever garden for the snails. You're amazing, right? That's making a child feel seen. Kindergarten teachers excel at that. There's a reason why we all have a fondness in our hearts for our kindergarten teachers, or many of us have a fondness in our hearts for our kindergarten teachers, because kindergarten teachers are good at making kids feel the 4 S's. And you've picked that kindergarten teacher who can do that, then you are not harming attachment, even if there's some distress. Because one of the ways when Bowlby was studying attachment, when Ainsworth was coding attachment, one of the ways they indicated that a child had good attachment was if there was protest behavior when the parent left. So in the strange situation, which is an assessment of attachment, parents were playing with their kids, and then the researcher instructed the parent to leave the room temporarily. And kids with good attachment protested. When mom got up and started walking out, those kids would be like, and they would be a little distressed. Sometimes they were busy with the toys, so they were only mildly distressed. We're not trying to torture these children, but they were distressed. And then when mom came back, you're looking for the child to reassure themselves, comfort themselves, come in for a hug, and then go off and play again. So the fact that there's protest behavior does not mean that there's bad attachment. So when I see people being like, that mom, she's leaving her kid, she's harming attachment. No, that's actually an indicator of good attachment. And provided the kindergarten is a 4 S's kind of place, and the teacher is responsible, and the protest behavior is just about, I don't want my primary attachment figure to leave, I want her to stay. You're not harming attachment. And let's not awfulize that, because there's going to be a lot of post-traumatic parents who are then going to have a lot of unjustified guilt about parenting behaviors they're doing that are normative, that are healthy, that are okay. If your child is still protesting at drop-off a couple of weeks into school, that's different. That's a time to start intervening and figuring out why. But the first few days of kindergarten to have protest behavior is very, very, very normal. It's actually a sign the parent is doing something right, not wrong. If you're a post-traumatic parent and this is the kind of content you need, if you feel a lot of unjustified guilt, if you're just not sure how to parent, welcome. Hi, we get it. We're post-traumatic parents too. Please click subscribe below so you never miss another episode. And please check out the post-traumatic parenting blog, the podcast, which is on, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. We also have the Post-Traumatic Parenting Instagram channel. That's where the post-traumatic parents hang out. You can find us at Dr. Kozlowitz Psychology. And of course, the Post-Traumatic Parenting book is coming out in 2025, so stay tuned for that. If you have a parenting question you'd like me to address on one of these YouTube videos, please comment below and let us know so that I can shoot that video. This one came from a comment from someone who had seen those reels and was concerned because she drops her kid off at kindergarten and her kid sometimes cries. Till next time, thanks for watching.